So today is kind of the start of a series that we're doing that's based on the Psalms, Summer of Songs. And I think a lot of people that are going to be preaching on the Psalms are going to choose very poetic, very beautiful songs. So we're going to go a little darker today. So my focus and my psalm that I've chosen is Psalm 5. So before we go into that, I'm going to tell a little story. I'm going to bring up two very important things. One is one of my favorite board games that I play. It's called Dead of Winter. And two is a man named Competitive Tim. And since you probably don't know either of these things, I'm going to explain them. So first, Dead of Winter. The whole point of this game is you're survivors in a little colony trying to fight off zombies. And so there's 5 people, and you're trying to gather resources, you're trying to complete a secret objective so you can win the game, and you're doing all of this with constant pressure. And now there's also the constant pressure of there's potentially a traitor amongst your group. So while you're trying to do these things, you're trying to oust someone that may or may not be a traitor. And it gets these very intense, very scream-matchy moments where everyone's like, no, I know you're the traitor, and then someone's trying to convince everyone they're not. And I love it to death. And then this is where our hero comes in, Competitive Tim. Now, Competitive Tim is not me, very different than me. See, Competitive Tim is not shy or timid. He loves speaking up, he's very charismatic, and he loves being in control. And see, normally, people don't really like playing with Competitive Tim because he gets very aggressive very quick, because he wants that win, that W. So I'm going to tell you about this one time. We're playing Dead of Winter. There's 5 of us, 4 of us have played before, but one of my friend's wife, Grace, had never played. So we played a quick game, we're teaching her. I'm being super helpful. Like, I'm being like, you know what, this is what you should do, this is how you should do it. She's like, wow, okay. I was like, hey, when you do this, if you do this, it makes this easier. And she's like, wow, so I'm giving these tips, giving these tricks. She feels confident, and she's like, yeah, I'm ready to start the game. So we hop right in, and Competitive Tim comes alive. And I'm getting aggressive. I'm telling people that's something a traitor would do. Why would you do that way? I'm loudly exclaiming, look at all the good I'm doing. I put in this stuff, I did this thing. Why aren't you helping this part? Everyone's getting frustrated because Competitive Tim is in control and there's nothing they can do about it. But I'm also helping Grace. I'm making sure she feels comfortable. I'm like, you know what, Grace, I have this extra weapon, here you go. I have this extra food, here you go. And she's like, cool, I have this, gives it to me. Awesome, we're working together. I have her convinced we're the only 2 that are trying to do good in this group. So the game ends. Everyone's like exasperated. It's been probably 2 hours. We're all tired. People are flipping over their secret objectives. I didn't complete mine. I didn't complete mine. Grace flips hers over. I didn't complete mine. Next person, I didn't complete mine. Comes to me and I go, and I slam it on the ground and I go, I was a traitor all along. And I'm laughing, uproariously laughing, so giddy. I'm like a little schoolgirl. I'm having a great time. And everyone's going, oh my gosh, like of course Tim, the one that's as close to a sociopath as you can get, of course he's the traitor. Everyone's all, they're just frustrated that of course Tim was that traitor. And then we look over to Grace, and Grace is crying. I don't mean like a tear, she's weeping. And we're all like, oh. And she was so angry at me, so mad, that not only did she trust me, but I abused that trust for my own gain. And staring across that, I went, oh my gosh, what did Competitive Tim do? And so immediately, Competitive Tim's gone. It's normal Tim now who has to deal with the consequences. So with that, now that I've told you how untrustworthy I am, let's go to the Bible. All right, so I'm going to be reading Psalm 5. Listen to my words, Lord. Consider my sighing. Listen to the sound of my cry for help, my King and my God. for to you I pray. In the morning, Lord, you will hear my voice. In the morning I will present my prayer to you and be on the watch. For you are not a God who takes pleasure in wickedness. No evil can dwell with you. The boastful will not stand before your eyes. You hate all who do injustice. You destroy those who speak lies. The Lord loathes the person of bloodshed and deceit. But as for me, by your abundant graciousness, I will enter your house. At your holy temple, I will bow in reverence for you. Lord, lead me in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight before me, for there is nothing trustworthy in their mouth. Their inward part is destruction itself. Their throat is an open grave. They flatter with their tongue. Make them pay, God. Have them fall by their own schemes. Scatter them in the multitudes of their wrongdoings, for they are rebellious against you. But rejoice, all who take refuge in you. Sing for joy forever, and may you shelter them, that those who love your name may rejoice in you. For you bless the righteous person, Lord. You surround them with favor as a shield. So, this is what we call an imprecatory psalm, or a curse or judgment that the person writing is trying to declare against someone else. That someone else is undeserving. So why isn't God answering this? And I think most people tend to kind of ignore these psalms. Kind of icky, they're kind of gross, they don't really make a lot of sense. And if someone brings them up, you go, it's like the black sheep, you go, nah, we don't really focus on those ones. Let's go to Psalm 60, look at how beautiful this is. It's talking about the lilies, and oh, God sets his bed in hell with me, and oh, isn't that great? But you come to this psalm where someone is literally saying, God, destroy them, for they are rebellious. And in the word, it says God's word is God-breathed, and it is useful. So let's find out what is useful about this psalm. So to do that, we're going to break down first what is happening during this time. Why is this psalm written? It's assumed it's written by David. And it's assumed it's written when Absalom has come, taken over the kingdom, and is trying to kill David. See, Absalom was David's son. He was very charismatic, loved by everyone, beautiful man, just the pinnacle of perfection. And yet, for some reason, he felt an injustice by David. So, instead of coming to David and saying, hey, this is what I feel, he ran away, found all the other people that felt there was an injustice dealt to them by David, and said, why don't we do this? Why don't we just take the kingdom together? And so they gathered together and they rebelled against David. And he declared himself king of Jerusalem. And they took Jerusalem, and David had to flee with what few followers he had. So now David is running along the countryside, desperately trying to escape his own son. And in this time, Absalom gathers together his best advisors, his best friends, and says, what do I do? What am I supposed to do with my father? So one of his friends comes to him and says, you need to gather your strongest men and attack David right now. Go out, kill him, let it be done. Israel and Jerusalem is yours. No one can stop you. Then another man comes up. This man is David's spy. And he comes and says, what you should do is gather everyone. Not just your strongest men, but all your men. Every single warrior you have, gather them together. And then once you are at full strength, march out and fight David. Because then you can strike him down before everyone, and all of Israel will know that you are king. So forever the man wooed by grander and looking like the best, Absalom says, yeah, I'll do that. I'll make sure everyone knows that I was the one that killed him. So he gathers his men. And it's when in this process, David flees across the Jordan and prepares the best he can to fight Absalom. In the end of the story, David wins. Because once they cross the Jordan, Absalom's men are so tired and weak from marching that David is able to wipe them out. But we see in this moment, in this time where David is literally fleeing for his life, that this is when this psalm is written. So it means even more, because David is not writing this against a faceless enemy or some country. He's writing it about his own son. So that's the historical context. But let's look at the literary. What is the structure of this psalm? So if we look in the beginning, there's a constant theme. Listen to my words. Listen to the sound of my cry. You will hear my voice. I present my prayer. In the middle, it continues. Their throat is an open grave. They flatter with their tongue. And at the end it says, sing for joy. Rejoice in you. See, this psalm is a psalm of words. The idea wholeheartedly is, what are we doing with our voice? Because initially it sounds like David's kind of stamping his feet. Like, come on, God, look at all I've done. You know, when I was a kid and I really wanted something, I wanted that new video game, I'd mow the lawn, I'd take out the trash, I'd do the dishes, and then I'd go to Mom and I'd be like, listen, Mom, I just need $20, but like, I did all my chores and I did this extra, can you just give me the $20, please, please, please? And you know, usually the answer is no, but this is almost what it sounds like. David's saying, look at all the good I've done, look at all the evil they're doing, do something for me. That's not it at all. See, this isn't David telling God, look at me, focus on me. No, this is David bringing his son to court. David is the counsel, Absalom is the wrongdoer, and God is the judge. See, he's saying, I have used my voice to call out for you. And Absalom has used his voice to do anything but. And that has made him guilty. The whole literary structure is showing that Absalom himself has decided to leave God out of his counsel. That in the moment when he needed the strongest and wisest voice, he chose his friends and got deceived. The deceiver and the liar got lied to. But David, in all his non-wisdom, said, God, you are the wisest, so I come to you for help. And so in his counsel, it was not men, but only God. So in essence, David is saying, what are we doing with our mouths? What are we speaking? And who are we speaking to? See, we don't always have to be singing daisies and praises and saying life is so good. We can be angry and frustrated. David is cursing his own son. But he's saying that to God. See, when I grew up, and I think most of us when we grew up, I was taught unwholesome talk was not swearing. You know, it was saying biscuits and gravy instead of, whatever else. There was this idea that there's these bad words, so don't use them and just use the good words. But I think it's so much more than that. See, unwholesome talk is when you do everything and say something and it hurts everyone around you but makes you feel all right. When you are the sole focus of your talk. that is the unwholesomeness. So let's go back to competitive Tim. That was my wake-up call in that moment. Because boy, did I have fun. Laughing, giggling, and knowing that I had won that game, and I got to slam that car down, and everyone's throwing their hands up. I felt so good. Like, yeah, that was my win. Then I had to look across the table. She didn't win that game. Half the time she doesn't want to play the game anymore because she remembers exactly what I did. So you can either be your competitive self. You'll feel okay, you'll feel good, but it ends eventually. But if you focus on making everyone feel good with you, there's never going to be a moment where you look across the table and see a crying face. So that's what I had to learn. That was my wake-up call, that moment when maybe if everyone's enjoying the game, I can enjoy it too. So, I ask you, where is your wholesome talk? Because you cannot say swear words. It's probably for the best. You can say biscuits and gravy. You can say fudgesicle. You can say whatever you need to say. But if at the end of the day, if only you are feeling good around those around you, what have you done? So, this is a start of this series, the start of Summer of Songs. And I want us to start off fresh. I want us to take an introspective look at ourselves, not just as a series, but as a whole. Have we let our competitiveness, that competitive version of ourselves, take control? Have we let the whole unwholesome talk be our main talk? So think about that. Think about who you're interacting with on a daily basis. Who are you bringing up or tearing down? Because I promise you, if you wait until you see that crying face, it is not a good feeling. It breaks you down. Not as much as the person you just broke down. So, I'm going to ask for all of you to think about this song. It starts with cry out in the morning. Bring what is ailing you, what is making you struggle to God now and here, so that in the end, all those around you can be singing with joy. And I'm going to end with prayer. Father, thank you for second chances. Thank you that no matter what we've done and who we've been, you said there's always another way. So, God, I pray as we look deep into ourselves, may you grant us grace and mercy to be the best version we can be, but also make it so that we can give grace and mercy to all those that surround us. Teach us to love others as you have loved us. In your name I pray.